Welcome back to Gettysburg once again. So let us see what the Federals do for this turn. Let's see what happens. The cavalry's moving about still. They're definitely getting out of the way at this point. Yeah, so they're now just getting out of the way. But otherwise, he's in a fairly decent position. Yeah, so Jenkins is literally just seeing off the Federal cavalry on this side quite safely, which will allow me to shift. Oof. It's 5 p.m, so lost 14 men there. But at this point, I don't think there's any other point in holding my position. So, continuing the assault. It's 5 p.m. It's late. So. And the Federals are getting into a fairly strong position at this point. So, fall back, rest, regroup, reform, even do some reorganize. Oof. Alrighty, so they did, the North Carolina here did rout, which, I don't blame them. But they've done their job, so. Fall back. Alright, we've fallen back. We're going to basically look to regroup now. Why are you routed? Rally, you dimwit. Alright, now then. Yeah. This part of the cavalry, head up here, dismount, and then go there. Basically to see if we can see stuff. I basically want to find where his flank is while I bring up Anderson. I'm going to bring Anderson via down here, I think. Wilcox, you can follow on. Doop. Just keep on moving. But yeah, at this point, I think it's just a case of do some finishing manoeuvring, and then we are done for the day. Right, you can keep on following this road, and then you'll turn this way to rejoin the column. Johnson. Alright. Continuing to... I am going to continue to shift, I think. Gonna unlimber you, limber you back up. Let's try and knock out again a federal gun. Ugh. This counter battery fire has been very ineffective, so I think we're gonna just give it up at this point. Given how ineffective it's been. Pettigrew, you and your troops are to head there. Again, I'm just going to basically shift the line gradually. Well, not so much gradually, but... shifting the line enough to... what can they see? Okay, they're blind, they're blind. You'll fall back to there. And then Doles will do the same. And then I'm going to basically shift early over. But for the most part... bring Rhodes and his artillery that way. Iverson, you can go into the woods here. Alright, their cavalry is charging off over there, but for the most part, it's now out of the way, no longer has to be dealt with. Relimber all of Early's artillery and move it. And then we move Ewell himself that way, just to basically get into a nice comfy position. So his cavalry is coming down here, so I could look to try and surprise it. Well, actually I don't really want to, but there's a ford there. But if I go here, dismount, I can somewhat block him from withdrawing his cavalry that way. You would have to walk all the way back and round. At which point he would probably bump into Posey's brigade. Which is coming this way. That is an opportunity. But he would just go across country, to be fair. But it would slow him. But in this case, I think I'm just going to have the column, have Anderson's column led by that particular cavalry unit. This lot can come towards the shoe shop, and then we'll basically turn this direction and eventually head to Black Horse Tavern, where they'll rejoin the column. Who has arrived? Some artillery. 2nd Corps Artillery Reserve. Alright. Johnson, you ride up. Stuart, you and your brigade will form up as well. Now the guns. Bit of a traffic jam, I guess. Oop. And then finally, Stonewall Brigade. And then the supply wagon. Alright. Let's bring up the 2nd Corps Artillery. Who is next to arrive? More of 2nd Corps Artillery Reserve. The 1st South Carolina Rifles will arrive at 7 PM. McClaw's will arrive at 9, so it's 5:20 at this point. So at this point, I think it's just a case of enough for one day, but I think I'll exchange a few more gunshots with each other, just for an attempt to get rid of at least some of the Federal artillery. Yeah, not doing anything. Yeah, no effect whatsoever. Completely pointless at this point, so it's going to be the end of the day's battle. So I am going to send the artillery that is Hill's Artillery Reserve basically further south, because I intend to concentrate my artillery as much as possible in the centre to try and blast the ever-living crap out of the Federal centre. But more importantly, I need to get the guns further up. Okay. Jenkins, you and your cavalry, for the most part, have done your job. I'm going to detach parts of it, I suspect. Have what? The 16th basically watch Blotcher's Knoll. Have the 34th, not the 34th, the 35th, and have the 14th VA Cavalry basically watching this ford. I mean, it's not really even worth it because he can just go round. But I will send at least partial amounts of cavalry to somewhat watch the old Wolf Hill. I do not want any Federals coming over Wolf Hill to Benner's Hill. So I don't want anyone coming down the Hanover Road, so I think I'll have some cavalry look to watch that. But otherwise, it's just a case of gather the cavalry. What are you? You're part of Rhodes' artillery, so you can limber and move. You're part of Scales, so you can move towards rejoining your brigade. Scales, for the most part, hasn't even been engaged on day one. Lane has, and taken a fair battering for his trouble, but otherwise he's fairly intact. Brockenbauer's brigade is tiny anyway, so it really doesn't matter. And then same with Archer's brigade, it's absolutely tiny. As for Pettigrew's humongous brigade, it is fairly intact. Same with Davis. I mean, the 26th North Carolina still has 709 men, and it's taken 16% losses, so... Anything else left to do? I'm not entirely sure there is. I got this cavalry looking out to the flank. Yeah. Nothing more that I can see. I just can't see where his flank is. Which is a bit awkward. But I suppose there's one little sneaky trick I could potentially do, which is basically switch Hill's position, basically move all of Ewell's corps to where Hill is, and then shift Hill further down. It'll be sneaky, but I don't... And with his cavalry dominance, I'm not sure I'll get away with it. But that is a nice opportunity. It is a nice opportunity to do something. What's next to arrive? The Amherst, Virginia artillery. Speaking of... there they are. The Washington artillery. 1st Corps Army artillery reserves. Wright himself arrives at 6 AM. Stewart arrives from up there. Hampton arrives up from Harrisburg, same with Fitzhugh Lee and Chamberlain. 11th Mississippi, along with divisional train, arrives late on July 2nd. Stuart's divisional train. Otherwise, we're nice and set for day 2. What time did I say sunset was again? It is 7 o'clock. It's 5:20, so an hour or so of daylight. It's a bit pointless doing anything with an hour or so of daylight. So again, we are just going to rest, recoup, and prepare for the following day. I've lost 3,284 infantry, 508 cavalry, an artillery piece, 2 leaders, and 2 supply points. He's lost 2,896 infantry and 1,199 cavalry, plus a brigade leader and 6 artillery pieces. Basically, when I overrun Buford's artillery guns over here earlier in the day. Still not sure how I did that, to be fair, considering mounted cavalry in the hex. But I ain't gonna complain about it. You can move that way. So yeah, we are nice and set for the day. So on to the next turn. So I will see you all with that. Bye bye for now.